How many of you here are studying computer science? Almost everyone, right? So let me start with who am I? Where do I come from? Just like most of you, about 15 years back, I was sitting in a similar auditorium somewhere in Hyderabad, starting my engineering education. So back about 15 years back, I studied at IIIT Hyderabad, uh, did what all you are doing today in college, uh, then worked across US, Berlin, and there is one very interesting problem statement that we landed with. And I would talk about my journey in a context of the turns and twists of life, right? And sometimes the turns are as drastic as U turns as well, right? So, one thing that we felt and realized was that education is necessary, but there is an outcome that is even more necessary. In a country like ours, the most powerful thing that we have is our demographic dividend. And if I double click on what is our demographic dividend, that is the youth that we have in the country, right? People like all of you. India in next 5 years is going to have highest population of people between 18 to 35 year age group, people who are super productive. But just the headcounts do not become productive. The headcounts become productive if they are highly skilled, right? One problem statement that we noticed was that just a degree is not what makes people productive. It was supposed to be a symbol of productivity of knowledge, but unfortunately, that didn't remain the case. So we landed on this problem statement 10 years back. That how do we fix that? If India has to become a superpower, our youth has to be not just graduate, but they have to be highly skilled. They have to be employable. There's enough and more employment when there are people who are employable, right? Now, in this context, if I talk about most of you, like 10 years back, we had a goal in mind that we want to fix employability of the youth, right? I'm sure all of you will have certain goal in mind as well. For some, it might be getting a job at a top company. For some, it might be building a fantastic startup. For some, it might be something else, right? But then when we are walking on any journey, most of you, let's say if you are headed to watch a movie on a weekend or going somewhere, you have a destination in mind. And to reach destination, we are often equipped with two tools, a map and a compass. Now let's think about a little bit. Why map and compass both are needed, right? What does compass tell you? Compass just tells you where to go. It can tell you where the true north is. It can tell you where you want to end up eventually. But if compass tells me that, if it tells me where I want to go, why was map invented by humanity at the first place? If you think about that, what is the need of map if you already have a compass which tells you where to go, right? Because map tells you how to go there. And one interesting thing, if you notice that when you are on any journey, a map might often tell you to move in a direction which is not perfectly aligned to the compass. If you are going on a journey and your compass might be telling you that this is north and you have to go to north, but you might often encounter, pitfalls on the way. And someone who only have a compass, who keeps walking just straight, will probably never reach the destination because he would have fallen into the pitfalls. And that is where map becomes very important. Because sometimes you have to walk in a direction which is different from what compass is telling you, but you are taking that different direction to still reach where compass is pointing, right? The same thing also applies to life. Now, while this analogy of map and compass in the context of a traveler sounds pretty obvious, but now when we talk about real life, another interesting complexity is that while you have to follow a map, but you are the one creating that map as you walk. There is no map that exists that can tell you, while you can definitely have your compass, right? 10 years back when we started, we said we want to fix tech education which makes the youth employable. That was our compass, right? And we started doing it in certain way. So how many of you here have used InterviewBit by any chance? Some hands here, fantastic. So we built InterviewBit. Me and Anshuman, my co-founder, we said like, okay, we are two fantastic programmers. Let's sit and build a platform that students can use to become employable, something that they can use to learn and crack interviews, right? Of top tech companies. That was our map. Soon what we realized was that if there are, so InterviewBit as of today probably have about 50 lakh users. Soon what we realized was that if there are 100,000 people creating an account on InterviewBit, probably only 4 of them will finish it entirely. And like if I ask you any online course that you all would have started, how many of you have started an online course but never finished it? Raise your hands. Everyone, right? Now that is the problem we discovered. So the map told us that you might have started this. It was a fantastic direction to build a high quality resource to make people employable. But now you have hit a roadblock. The completion rates are too low. So then we took a turn. We took a turn that sure, this is a great tool, but to get to our goal, to get to our North Star, if 96 people out of 100 are not even finishing it, this path is not getting us there. So that is how Scalar got born. How many of you have heard about Scalar? Raise your hands. Almost everyone. Fantastic. So we started solving this problem that how do we achieve, let's say, 98% completion rates. So sure, there are a set of things to learn, set of problems to solve. Anyone who does them all will get a top job at a top company, right? So that's how Scalar got created. That was our first turn. And someone might even say it was a very drastic turn, right? That from being entirely free InterviewBit, just content, to saying that now it's a very focused program where you are focused on driving completion, ensuring that everyone who starts the program, 98% of them finish it. Now, third interesting journey learning that we had started out with one more North Star, that youth have to be employable, and they should eventually become people who can even be employers. We had many speakers here, many fantastic speakers here who had that journey. But online alone also doesn't solve that entirely. If my goal is that India should have an institution of the caliber of MIT or Stanford, now initially we thought that the path of building that entirely online is fantastic. And if that could get achieved, it has massive scalability, it could be accessible to everyone. After doing that for 4 years, one thing we realized was that sure, you can drive high completion rates even online through right interventions, right product, right processes. But the network effect that starts getting created when there's extremely high talent density at a place. And that is what happens at MIT. That is what happens at Stanford. That it is not just what you learn in the classroom. Much more than that is what is happening in the hackathons outside the classrooms. Much more is happening in the dormitories where people are building startups together which might become $1 trillion worth, right? Facebook got created in the dormitory of Harvard. Why was that happening? That was happening because a lot of extremely talented, extremely hardworking people are at the same place at the same time. So we took another turn, right? Which was setting up a whole offline institute. That was the third step. Now, if you connect it back to 10 years back, it is a full U-turn. One would say that you started building online education because you said offline education is not working, and now you are also building offline education. But interestingly, if you see, one thing that is very important to follow in life, both as an individual or some of you who will become founders in life, never fall in love with your solutions. It is okay to take as many turns as possible, even if needed U-turns, but make sure that you are committed to solving the problem that you wanted to solve, right? It's very, very common that we get committed to, I want to do this, and this is what I want to achieve, which is great. You should have a long-term vision what you want to do in life, and sooner so this is a quote from Steve Jobs, that sooner in your life you realize what you really want to do in your life, the more successful you will be. So having that compass is fantastic. But another very important thing to keep in mind is that falling in love with the path you have chosen, that is very, very risky. because it can easily lead you into a ditch which you might not even recover from. So it's also very, very important that you keep building your map as you travel across. Accept that sometimes I will have to take turns. Accept that sometimes you might have to walk for some time, which might be opposite to the direction you were going in, right? If you have to go uphill, you have to go take turns. Where, like, one may say you are just going in circles, but what they might not realize is that you are also going up while you are going in the circles, right? So with that, I'll finish my conversation with you all. I hope this would give some directional insight to all of you as you navigate and build your maps. Thank you.